Hey there, thank you for clicking on this video, and today I will be showing you how to build a lead list of e-commerce brands using Clay and a bunch of other tools that will be integrated in that Clay table that we're building. So really the entire concept of this video is to show two different ways of doing the exact same thing. The vision that I have in mind is to help people who aren't really familiar with Clay sort of explore the capabilities of the tool and show you that it doesn't take too much to take a very basic table of just like enriching your leads and turning it into a very advanced and relevant message for the prospects that you're looking to reach out to. So in the first section of the video, I'll be showing you how to build a very basic Clay table, and then I'll show you how to turn that same lead list into a pretty advanced Clay table. Another reason I'm making this video today is because I know a lot of people believe Clay is a very difficult tool to use. I'm a strong believer that Clay can really change your go-to-market initiatives, and it really just takes a little bit of learning and just like sitting down and getting familiar with the tool. So that's what I'm trying to do in this video, show you how to take a beginner level table and turn it into an advanced level table. So for the sake of this video, I will act as a design agency looking for more clients in the food and beverage space. The criteria we're looking for is 1, the persona, founders of D2C brands in the food and beverage space. 2, they have to be in the States, and 3, they have to be between 11 and 50 employees. Even if you aren't a design agency, I suggest you watch the rest of this video because the only real difference at the end of the day is the words that you're using. The list building process could be used for anybody looking to target any food and beverage or any e-commerce brand for that matter. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Awesome. Now that we're in Clay, we're going to do a couple of things. I did make my screen just a little bit, or my recording a little bit smaller, just to give you guys a little bit more room to see what's going on. So the first piece that we're going to be going over is how to build a beginner list, right? So initially what most of you will sort of think to do is like, I need leads. So first thing I'll do is I'm going to go straight into add enrichments and then find people. Not even this one. We'd go here, like find people at this, like at this company, and then we'd go through our search, and it would look very similar to this right here. So we would first like put 11 to 50 employees, put every sort of industry keyword like related to food and beverages, which is completely normal. We could add extra like keywords for descriptions. And then we put owner, partner level titles, and then anybody who really has like founder, co-owner, or co-founder and CEO. That would give us our list of co-founders. And of course, we can get more sort of thorough with this list, but it's just to sort of push the concept and not so much the details. Here I did say US, so like we just put only US, and then we would say we want, like we could say like 3 people per company, run a max list of what that would look like. Great, there's too many to sort of show here, but like we'd get like 3 people at each company, and then we'd be able to pitch all of these people from here. So let's say we did take this list right here, and then we're now at this point of the table. So the next thing we would need to do is, one is more just a precaution. So it's something that like isn't happening in this specific case, like where we don't get the domain or we don't get like a random domain. So what we would normally do is add the Clearbit integration called find domain from company name. So it's a free integration that you can easily add that will find any domains based on the company name and then spit it out for you if it can find it. So it's definitely something to consider, especially if you don't have the domain here. So if it was empty, great. And so what would we do? It's like, so we'd build this find domains. We'd make the condition of only run if there isn't a domain, company domain. And then here, like none of the conditions sort of meet, but then we'd create a merge column right here to get our master domain. So it's either spit out this domain or spit out the domain from the Clearbit integration. So now we'd get ideally the most coverage possible for 0 credits. So that would be fantastic. The next step here is to sort of get more information about the company, because like here we're lacking on, like we don't know sort of the company size. We don't know any other details really. Like we don't really have a description. Like we'd have to go do research on all of them, either with Clayagent or with like using an integration. So what I like to do is the enrich company from lead magic. So we'd go here, enrich company, fill out these details, and then I will show you what that looks like once it's done. So now we have the lead magic integration running. Now we'd get sort of just confirmation that they're in the US, which we know. We'd get their industry, we'd get their the company LinkedIn, when previously we had the prospects LinkedIn, so that's good. And then there's a bunch of other details we could pull from here. So we could get when they were founded. So if you wanted to sort of make sure that they were like 20 years in business, that's something you could pull as well. Get their description, get their headquarters, their employee count is something that we pull as well. You can get funding data as well right here that you could get ChatGPT to, or not ChatGPT, but Clayagent to sort of review this data and spit out like the information that you're looking for. That's all sort of extra work that sort of a beginner table like wouldn't really entail. Like what we're looking to do is just get the information, make sure they fit our criteria, and go from there. Not too sure why, but my video just cut out on me. So we'll pick up from where we left off. So now what we just did, so we just added the lead magic enrichment. Now we know the employee count, and like, yes, some are 0, so it's not perfect, but we do get the general gist of, or like the majority of the companies, we do get their data, right? So we'd go here because the next step for us is to find the actual emails of these people, right? So we'd go into here. I like to do the work email SMB, so you would just go into here, work email, and then we get a work email waterfall, which is this top one right here. Then we'd be able to just put in the info that we want, double check the sources that we want to pull from, and then what I like to do is I have a subscription only for lead magic actually, and then the rest of these, if it was to find any of these companies, it would run, like, I'm out of credits right now, but like it would use those like our credits to find the rest of these without us needing to get that subscription. So it's very handy, but in most cases, like, lead magic's going to get a lot of the coverage. I know in this case it doesn't look like that, but it does get most of the coverage for us. And what we would do is just we'd run the rest, and if you wanted to sort of only have 2 in here, 3 in here, you can feel free to edit however you'd want. So we would, but moving forward, so we'd find the emails that are possible for us, which in this case is 3 of the list of 22. And our next step would be to make sure that these are valid email addresses. So one thing you could do is not something that we do internally at my agency, but you could add your like validation built in here, but we don't use any of these providers to like double verify our leads. So for us, it's not the best solution, but you could have it built in where it already verifies for you. We do that manually by adding a bounce band integration into this table. And this is what that looks like. So I'm not going to scroll down because then you'll be able to see my API key, which I do not want to share. But basically all we're doing is using the bounce band endpoint, we're adding the email that is the final email that was found from that waterfall. And then from there, it'll tell us, like, we just confirm what the address is, and then we're able to confirm if it's deliverable, undeliverable, or risky. So in this case, 2 of these companies would be good fits, or 2 of these people would have valid emails, I should say. And then the last step for us is to verify the companies. Not verify the companies, it's to simplify their company names. So what we do is just make sure that we remove, like, for example, Javita Weight Loss Coffee, independent member, we'd want to remove the independent member. Just because we don't have the email for it, it's not a great fit, but what it would do is it would remove it, and then we'd have a cleaned title that we can mention in our final email. And then from here, you can do a couple of things. Like in our company simplification, like table, like at the bottom, we make sure that the company was able to get enriched, the employee count was under 50 employees, and that bounce band came back as a deliverable email. And then from there, as soon as there's a company name in this column, I like to do checkboxes just to double check that, cool, everything came through. And then we can just easily create a final view where if the ICP is checked, or whatever you want to call your column, we know that this is our final lead list that we can easily copy, put into any tool that we want to send emails from. But here you would very quickly get a lead list without needing to sort of overcomplicate things, and without using a ton of AI and anything of that nature. All we're doing is really just integrating tools that normally we would have to like download our main list, put it into that tool, wait for it to be done, put it into our next tool. So in my mind, this is the most simple way to use Clay while still getting all the benefits of it, and also still like maximizing getting our like data validation through. But now I want to move forward with the advanced table, where we're going to take a different approach to list building, and we'll be building the list sort of in reverse. So like in this case, it really seemed like we took the prospects and then found what companies they work at. In an advanced table that we would normally build, we find the best fit companies and then find the people at those companies afterwards. So it's a little bit of like, you need to shift your thinking a little bit, but that's what I will show you how to do to basically get the exact same lead list with a lot more information, with a lot more relevant data, with just a few AI and integrations built in. Okay, great. So now we're in our company, like the advanced table side of things. This list was taken from a different lead source than Clay. Especially for e-commerce brands, I recommend Store Leads a lot. It just gives a ton of information and a lot of like data points that you would never normally find. And like the reason I mentioned Store Leads is because they specialize in e-commerce, like in an e-commerce list. So that is where I believe we got this list from. What all we're looking to do is I just wanted to pull 20 companies to sort of just show the point. But as you can see, like our employee count is already sort of filtered because that was done in the previous data source. We have the industries that are all like that are good fits, and something like, for example, the Good Crisp company, it's like their industry for whatever reason is mechanical and or industrial engineering, but very clearly you'll be able to see that they are a chip brand. So that's also one of the sort of issues with like basing it off of industries. Like this isn't like a food and beverage industry at all, but it's still a food and beverage company. So to keep that in mind when we're building these lists, but really all we did was 4 very basic data points, pulling the company name, the employee count, the industry, the website, and then right away we're going straight into pulling the company domain, or sorry, we're doing the Clearbit integration just to get that company domain in case it's missing. Just to give us that, like, let's see if I can just quickly show you. Yeah, okay, great. So we'll just do one as an example. Taika, I found it for free, and then it feeds into our merged column, which is identical to the previous one. Then we already have their company linked in just because of the data source, their company, country, and then their phone number. So just like in the previous table, we're going to be enriching these companies just to get the rest of their data. So one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is Good Crisp is a consumer good here, but they were a mechanical or industrial engineering industry there. So good that we clean that up. And as you can see, like I covered this 2 seconds ago, but you get a bunch of data that we can utilize or sort of leverage, especially the funding data or like the similar companies. If you wanted to build a very complicated table of like you get one list and then you pull all of the similar companies into another list. So that's something that you could do. So, but really at this point, we're still building a very, very similar list. And the next step will just be cleaning up those company names before moving forward. So what we'll do next is just clean up the company names, and just, I wasn't able to show it in the last table, but for example, Ultima Health Products Inc. turns into Ultima Health. Uptime Energy turns into Uptime Energy, and it also removes some of the capitalization. So really, the next piece for us is to just sort of confirm that these companies are good fits, because like as I mentioned with the Good Crisp up here, it could be difficult to know, are they a good fit or are they not a good fit? And something like Paravel, like they're in the leisure and travel tourism industry. Let me just double check what they actually do, because they were in my list. Okay, so look, they're not a food and beverage brand, and through the filtering, we'll see that they don't pass through, even though they could have initially passed through by accident, right? So The first piece is just to know if they are a direct-to-consumer brand, which is our first criteria. So what we've done is build a like B2B or B2C prompt, very simple, but all we're really asking it is it understands that B2B sells to businesses and B2C sells to consumers, and then we're just asking it to sort of clean this up because we just want to make sure that these are all good fits. And then we do put some criteria down here just to make sure that the company has been enriched. Where things get really interesting is the Ad Intel plugin that we have built into this campaign. So what Ad Intel does is tell you if they're actively running ads on Facebook, TikTok, or Google. At the moment, we're only using it for Facebook. But right now, what it's doing is it's finding every single ad that they've ran or that they're actively running on Facebook. And what we're able to do is mention something about that ad to the prospects at this company. So it's a very relevant line where we can say like, hey, saw your ad about this, thought it was really clever, liked the approach, anything of that nature. And it just shows that we did a little bit of research. And we also know if we were looking for a type of qualified prospect, like we wanted to make sure they were running ads on Facebook, this could be a criteria that you run because it confirms that they are running ads. And just to clarify, a 200 score means that there is data or there are ads. Or okay, okay, so I think there was just a bug with that other one, but usually when there's a 200, that means there's results. And you can go here and sort of see all of the details of that ad. I just want to see if I can pull what the actual ad looks like. There's a lot of data, so it's kind of hard for me to pull this from, and this could be a text ad since there's no images or videos. But anyways, we get to pull all of the content of it and like what's being said and all of that. So what we would do is write a personalized opening line about this ad, or at least the first ad in this series of results, right? So this is what this would look like. So the first component is the ad research. So what we like to do a lot is the first prompt being sort of the research assistant, the second prompt being the writing assistant, because different AI models write better copy than others. And for example, like in this table, like we're doing research with ChatGPT, but we're writing with Claude AI. So here, what we're doing is we're just giving it the ad result. We're giving it the first result, like just so I can show you if you were to do this yourself. We'd go here, result, and we're giving it all of the results within this right here, this 0, right? If that makes sense. So then it has all the context that goes into it. Oh, we're telling it to analyze it, identify the products, the industry, anything of that nature. And for us, it spits out an output like this, where we get like the key visuals involved. This is like gluten-free, vegan, 10 to 13 grams of protein, promotional graphics. We get all of their details. Then from there, we're writing a running ads line. And as I said, we're using Claude for this, and we're turning off the web search just so it's super focused on only the content from this ad research. And here we're saying, hey, you're a marketing professional. You're writing a casual opener line, giving it all the details from that ad research. And then we're just saying, hey, write a like concise line. And I'll just scroll through the rest of this if you're curious on copying it for yourself. Great. And then for somebody like Nugo bars, right? Nugo Nutrition, the output would be like, saw your ad for Nugo dark bars, the 50% off deal and gluten-free vegan highlights definitely caught my eye. So it's just sort of a call out, just mentioning that we saw the ad and we're going from there. So, and something else you could do is like, saw your Facebook ad, saw your Instagram ad, and you can actually pull that from Ad Intel. So that's really cool. One thing you'll notice is that not every single company here is actively running ads, right? So like we're seeing maybe less than half, right, are running ads. So for the rest of these, we still want to say something personalized without going too crazy. So what we'll do is we will pull their products and on their website and write a very similar line, but based on their products this time. So let me show you how that would work. So here, very similar sort of prompt to the ad research, but now we're giving it the company domain, asking it to do research, figure out the best products, who they're selling to, and like any other details that might be relevant. And then we're asking it if it can't find anything to tell us no answer. Just in case things, like especially like, basically, yeah, if there's just not enough info. Sometimes we have other types of use case or edge cases that we talk about in the prompt, but we didn't in this. But basically, you're seeing that like all the ones that didn't run here are running here, and then if it's not running here, it's because it already ran, right? So we're doing the research, very similar prompt of what we're asking it to do from the running ads line, but we're just talking about products now. So it's like the opening line, notice your birthday cake cookie bites. The nut-free option is a smart move for inclusive snacking that everyone can enjoy. So sort of lines up with what they're looking to do, with their like product mission, and then we're just mentioning a very very nice call out just to show that we did some research about their products. Then, very similar to the company domain, we're creating a merge field just to get one final column. That's our icebreaker line. So just to show you how that looks like. So the opening line for the running ads, and then the opening line for the product comment. So now we're left with a very nice list of, like, saw your Instagram ad for Ultimate Refresher, the vibrant visuals of active hydration really caught my eye. Noticed your Rove, and this is one of the product examples, noticed your Rove Weekender, the recycled polyester fabric and eco-friendly design are seriously impressive for travelers who care about sustainability, which is likely their target audience. So this is a very easy way to get a lot of things in place where we know the company has a big enough employee count that they fit our criteria. We know they're actively selling to B2C companies, and then we know if they're running Facebook ads or if they aren't, or if they're running Google ads or if they aren't. And then for us, like if we were, like sort of what I was hinting at the beginning of the video, like if you're not a design firm, we can double check that. Like if you were a Google ads agency, we can check if they're running Facebook ad or Google ads, and then same thing goes for Facebook ads. So this could just be a way for you to do your research of, is this a good fit, without you needing to guess in the air of maybe they're running Facebook ads, maybe they're not. Now you get a clear answer of how you could do this. While editing the video, I realized that I made a mistake with the advanced table where I forgot to add the qualifying prompt in this food and beverage table that I was building. So basically now this is going to be an insert. It might not completely fit in the video, but the objective is to show you how you would build an AI qualifying prompt for yourself so that you know for sure, like in this case, that we would have food and beverage companies only. And what really caught my eye is 2 seconds ago in the video, I said that this company right here, Paravel, was not a food and beverage company and that they wouldn't pass through our filtering. So I forgot to show this part. So that's what I'm doing now. So basically what we were doing, right? We really wanted to, like, we only want to send emails to food and beverage companies. So the first thing we have to do is analyze everything about that company and to make sure that they are a good fit. So here's what the entire prompt looks like, and the way these are created. Like in this specific case, this was created with Claude as our sort of like prompt generator helper. But you could do this in your own ChatGPT subscription, where you're basically asking it, hey, I want you to do this repeatedly, build a prompt. You would test it, and then if it worked, great. If it didn't work, keep going from there. Clay also has a built-in help me function where you could ask it, hey, this is everything I want to do. Like, can you figure this out and write it for me? I haven't seen super great results with it, so I prefer and recommend to go through ChatGPT or Claude if you prefer that tool. The most important part of building a really targeted list. So first, you would need to do research on what is or what it means to be a food and beverage company, and also like any other sort of qualifying prompt you're looking to build. So the way we start, it's like, hey, we're looking to determine if this company sells or and operates in the food and beverage industry. I want you to give me a yes or no, and you'll notice that we actually have something else going on at the same time right after, which I will explain. So we're saying, hey, analyze the keywords from the company name, the description, and domain here that relate to food and beverages, food, drink, snack, meal, restaurant, those types of words. Like, do they offer a range of food and drink products? Do they have physical or online stores or restaurant distribution, ingredients? So really, first we're asking the prompt, do research on what like food and beverages and beverage companies typically have. And you could even feed it examples of what you're looking for. And that would make it even easier because it would pull examples from those directly. Besides that, that's basically it. I'm just going to scroll through this just to show you everything that goes into it, but just know that these aren't manually typed. We do get ChatGPT to do all the heavy lifting. We just reiterate and try to improve it if the outputs aren't good. So really, the one company that didn't pass our criteria, sure, I'll say for now, the one company was that Paravel, the suitcase business, right? So we want to make sure that nothing after that runs, if that makes sense. So the way that would look like is we go here, and this right here is what we're saying is only run if response is this. So the way you would do this normally with using Clay is you'd go use AI, like in the specific case that I just showed. Just for the response, like we'd say only run if the response is because that's the name of the column that I just created is yes. And then they'll show you like which ones would run, and then as well like something that's not relevant to us or something going on for us is like we want to make sure that add and tell is like found results. So that's also another piece. But we would, or did not find results, sorry, because this is the second piece. So I just want to show you what the final looks like for this company. We'd be here. No, we want to make sure that this wouldn't run, so then we don't have an icebreaker line, because this isn't a company that's a good fit for us. So that's really the biggest piece that I wanted to highlight in this video, so I didn't want to completely skip it over. What we do in the second part of the prompt is, based on the outputs of this, I just want you to tell me yes or no. The reason we do that is the first prompt, because it's doing web research, like right here, it's not the best at outputting what we want, if that makes sense. So like, even though I tell it like, hey, I want you to output yes or no, only 2 of them outputted with yes or no. So, and I don't blame it. Like it's like for the price that we're paying to do this research, it's completely fine to first pay for this cost right here and then pay another fraction of that just to get a yes or no and like a confirmation. And this prompt will be a lot more consistent. And the issue here that I've found myself in is if I ask the research assistant to like output yes or no, it typically doesn't. So I'm just constantly rerunning until it says yes. But when I do it this way, it's a lot easier to just get your like do the research and then get another bot to analyze if it's a yes or no based on the outputs. And like the research here is like detailed, like just as an example. I don't even know which one I clicked on. Okay, cool. Like keywords related, food and beverage, gluten-free, taste, relevant. They mention ingredients. They offer a product, like a range of products. They create gluten-free protein snacks. They're carried in 10,000 locations. They mention ingredients. So it's very clear that like even at this point, like, does the company operate in the food and beverage industry? Yes, given their focus on. So we just give it all of this, or we give the second assistant all of this to analyze it. And it's much more consistent this way. And I do recommend you build your prompts this way. So as I was mentioning before this advanced section started, now that we have the company list, the next thing we need to do is get the best fit prospects, or the founders and the CEOs or the co-founders, get those people of these companies. So that's what I'll be showing you now. And just like the filtered companies previously, the one thing we want to do and make sure is that a company, like, so we create a filtered view here, which I'll just quickly show you how to do actually. So what we'll do is, depending on your situation, I'll just add a little bit of context. So employee count is, okay, well, not sure why it's not letting me. Okay, great. So less or equal to 50. So we could just put all of our criteria here. Great. Let's just go through the list. Next, we want to make sure that the B2B output contains or is equal to B2C. Great. And we want to make sure that in this case, like, we don't care if they're running Facebook ads or not. Like, we want both. So the last piece will just be, or you know what, this covers everybody that we want. And for, like, the way it lined up is like everybody fits all of the criteria for us, so all 20 companies. But now what you do is you go here, duplicate view. We could call this the final view, and then you can just go back to your default view here, remove the filtering just so you get like a free view of everything that's going on. And then now you can easily go to your final view and just see every single company that passed all of your criteria very easily, because this plays into the next part of this video, which is actually the list building part, or the leads building side, right? So very similar to the beginning of the video. What we'll be doing now is creating another find people table. We'll be putting in the same titles here. I didn't put the job titles because it doesn't really serve us too much in the context of this video. But the big thing that we're doing is we're pulling companies that fit, that are in the filtered view of that table previously. So we're never pulling any companies that are irrelevant to us or don't fit our criteria, or that we don't have that icebreaker line for. Everybody has that line, and everybody is running ads, depending on your situation, like is running ads or has that call out for the products, right? So that's what we're doing. And then we can pull all the people that we want from there. So the first piece that we need to do is bring the data from that other table into this table, which is why we created the lookup row in companies table here. So all we're doing is we're pulling that previous table, example advanced companies, making sure that the company domain there is equal to the company domain here. And if needed, we would add a clear bit, but we didn't have to in this case. So then now what we do is we click onto this because we ran the table, we get all the records from that, and then we're pulling the cleaned, I didn't actually do it right. Okay, good to know. So we go here, company name, right? So all you have to do just for something like this is we'd go here, pulling this up. Let me just type it in because there's too much stuff. Records, and then we're pulling company name cleaned, right? So save, and then this will update this entire row. So even if you make a mistake, it's very easy to fix it. We're pulling the industry from this row. We're pulling the employee count, the phone number, the description. And then very similar to the first table, we're doing a waterfall to find the phone numbers. If those phone numbers meet, or like if those phone numbers are, or sorry, I'm saying phone numbers. If those emails are found, then we're running it through our verifier. And I'm only doing these 3 right here just to keep it like more visually pleasing and easy to understand, because I know things get complicated when there's a lot of like the if-then statements and it's just like a lot of empty rows and then there's content here. It's like, why is that happening? So that's why I'm just leaving it for the first 4 up here. And like the top example shows of like, we weren't able to find an email for this person. So yes, if I had credits, we could run through and see at what point, but it's easier to just see it in this way for now. Great. So now what we're doing is we're getting the company, or sorry, making sure that the finalized email is good, making sure that it's deliverable. And if all those criteria are met, we then say like if it's deliverable, cool, let's get a normalized name, because some people do have random text in there. Like these people all have normal names, but some people like to put sort of their like some credentials they might have, put doctor in there. So we just want to clean that up. So we actually give this prompt all of the context I might need. So it's like, what's their email, what's their LinkedIn URL, and then what's their full name, just to give them, or give it, it's the full context possible, but then it outputs the first name, last name, and the full name for us. And really, I just wanted to write some copy just to show you what was possible. But what you could do, hypothetically, is run one campaign where you're targeting people who are actively running ads, and that's your variant A. And then in your variant B, you're targeting people who aren't running ads. And depending on the use case, like I know in this, like I said at the beginning of this video, that we would be a design agency helping these people with their ad creatives. Like, let's just pull this up of what happens if there's no ad. We're saying, hey, notice you aren't running any ads on Meta right now. If I sent you 3 ad creatives for company name in less than 24 hours, would you be interested in speaking? And this is just sort of general practice. And then we'd add a social proof line that we helped. Like we've been working with one company for 5 years. We test 60 creatives per month. They didn't have to pain point, and we added a bonus result. So that's what this line could look like. But if they were running Facebook ads, I do realize now that I sort of messed this up, because the icebreaker does both. So essentially, really, this email could just go to both groups. Like there's no issue with us, because the people who aren't running ads would get the first line. It just depends on what you would want to do with the copy, but the real point of this video was just to show you how to build the lead list, not so much how the copy turns out at the end. But here, what we'd have is like, hey, first name, saw your ad for Nugo Dark Bars. If I sent you 3 ad creatives with no strings attached and they outperformed your current ads, would you be interested in having a conversation? So just a lot of opportunities for you to do research on these e-commerce brands without guessing anymore, which is really the beauty of Clay, that you can do a lot of research and write things and create campaigns very, very quickly. The point of this video was really just to show you that it only takes a few things to take your beginner table and turn it into a much more advanced table. And I hope that the video was very educational for you and cleared things up on how to make the most of Clay. But really, like, sort of, if we were to recap, the biggest piece for me is to always filter out the companies first and find all of your best fit companies. Like, make sure that the ICP is good, because there's no point in pulling all the leads that you want and then for each individual one figuring out what company they work at, and then let's pull the company descriptions of all those leads for the companies they work at, just because you're going to see so many duplicates. So this way you're able to do it in a much more organized fashion, and we're able to also build very detailed lists this way. Awesome. Well, that's the end of the video. If at any point you thought this is too overwhelming and I do not want to take care of this, we do help a few clients build Clay tables on the side. So if this was of interest to build something similar or something that you've seen on Clay, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then I'll be sure to get back to you and we can have a quick chat and see how it would make sense to work together. But besides that, I wish you the best of luck using Clay and building your own tables in the future. And that's it for this video. Bye-bye.